as you'll have seen from the title, this video is about Declan Rice. It's about rumoured interest from Manchester United, a consistent rumoured interest from Manchester United, actually, and really asking a question about whether he's fully appreciated by England fans. Before I get on to that, something quite upsetting and quite unfortunate to report. Many of you will be aware that Dan on our boats had a cardiac arrest, had a heart attack last Saturday in a match against Crystal Palace. Many people worked really hard and basically fought bravely to give him a fighting chance before the paramedics arrived, and that's obviously why it's prompted our fundraising and raffle this week, over the past week, to try and get a defibrillator on the boats on a permanent basis. I regret to report, as I'm sure you guessed from my tone, that Dan passed away yesterday, and I mean, it goes without saying that our thoughts and actions and conversation and everything are with his friends and with his family, and it's just a terrible thing. That not something I ever thought we'd ever have to deal with, quite frankly, and it's terrible. So I don't want to say too much at this point, but we'll say more in the future. But obviously, it's very, very tender, very raw, for all concerned, basically. And I just wanted to say at this point that we've smashed the total for the defibrillator. I say smashed it. We've got a few £100 on top of what we needed for the defibrillator. I just wanted to say to everybody that myself and Gio have discussed it at depth, in length, and we know exactly what we're going to do, and we're going to be doing the right thing with the surplus funds, and certainly the thing that I'm sure many of you would expect us to do. But again, I don't want to say too much at the moment, because it's been a week where we didn't really know what was going to happen and whatnot. But the raffle is still in place, and there are obviously still raffle tickets available. People continue to donate fantastic prizes. I mean, one was coming today from Tim, and we thank him very much, which was a signed Fabianski shirt. We got other stuff which we've just not publicised much. We've not been very active on social media on that front this week, for obvious reasons. Gio's going to be getting back to answering a lot of messages. A lot of direct messages have certainly come in over the past week, and Gio's going to get on to answering them, as am I on the forum this week as well. I've just posted a notice up on there as well. So there's not a lot more to say, but it continues. There's some great prizes in the raffle, so please do keep buying tickets. I mean, it's sold 70 tickets so far, but the reason we've smashed the target really is because we've had some really generous donations. Thank you really very, very much for that, and it's not going to notice who it is, and one of them's anonymous. We thank you very much for that. Somebody donated really big to our when we raised the money for Isla during our 24-hour stream. Whenever it was, I can't remember what it was now, but it seems like ages ago. But I think clearly it was this year, and so that's why we've smashed it. Obviously, we'd anticipated with the raffle tickets that it would be increments of £4, and that's how we calculated it. With sort of 300 tickets, and we calculated once GoFundMe have taken their fees and whatnot, that would enable us to pay for the defibrillator. But because of generous donations, we've gone beyond that. But as I say, please trust us on that. We're gonna deliver on what clearly is the right thing to do in such circumstances, and of course deliver the defibrillator to make the boats just far safer than well, I don't, as I say, I don't really know what to say. But I mean, nobody ever expects to go to football and for that to happen. So we need to make the boats as safe as they possibly can be, which is the least we can do, and to go some part to provide at least some sort of legacy for Dan. Anyway, that's that. I'll say no more about it, but we'll speak more about it in the future. Having said that, it seems a little bit churlish to go on and then speak about Declan Rice. But if we don't do these videos, then we wouldn't even be in a position to do this. And and to and to raise the money and to raise awareness and more like anyway. So in that sense, the show must go on, so to speak. So anyway, there we are. We're on to Declan Rice on this one, and what really caught my attention, you have to excuse me, I did intend on doing it yesterday, but for obvious reasons, it was not appropriate to do a video yesterday, and my mind wasn't on the job at all. But I did notice that Declan Rice has been linked with Manchester United again. So the most recent report, I think, was in the Mirror, and he was rumoured to be that they were preparing for a £70 million bid. Well, a £70 million bid ain't getting Declan Rice, for starters. But there was something in the Sun last week, and it was, I think it was 180 million, not just for Declan and another player, but it gave the impression that the Declan part of the deal would be 100-odd million. Now, clearly, he's a player who is going to be in demand, particularly from that club, because that club are struggling. It reminds me a lot of when Liverpool had a massive period of dominance through the 70s, through the 80s, and Kenny Dalglish became their manager, and they won some stuff, and then Kenny Dalglish, the pressure got to him, he left, and they were never the same afterwards. I think Graham Souness came in, won an FA Cup or a League Cup, but aside from that, they very much became a defined point when Liverpool's trophy days were over for a considerable period of time. And I see the same with Manchester United now. I see they have a ditherer at the helm in Edward Woodward. I see they got the wrong manager in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I believe their shirt sponsor was Chevrolet. Paid big bucks for that sponsorship deal. I mean, the stuff that we could only dream of, us lesser mere mortal clubs, was something like 400-odd million, their shirt deal. Well, apparently they're not going to renew. And you can understand that, because when a corporate enterprise sponsors what is an absolute leviathan of a football club, they're expecting exposure. And they're expecting exposure on the very highest level. Well, the very, very highest level is Champions League, and not just Champions League. Champions League semi-finals and finals in particular. They expect to have the maximum exposure on all the top Sky TV matches. They want their logo festooned on everyone's screen, emblazoned everywhere. Well, quite frankly, if you were a sponsor of Manchester United at the moment, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. It's not quite what it said in the brochure, is it? You're not really getting what you paid for. So I'm not surprised that they're going to pull out and not do another deal. And whatever deal Manchester United get next time is going to be nowhere near that level. You also got to remember, this is such a huge club. This club is so massive that not only did they have a sponsor for their on-field kits, for their match day kits, they also had a separate sponsor for their training kits. That's how photographed they are. I think their training ground is called Carrington Training Ground. That's the amount of press that turn up there and photograph the players just when they're training. That was so marketable, they could sell the advertising space on their training bibs. Crazy. But those days are gone. And those days are dying, because you can only live off your historical achievements for so long. And they have done, because they've lived off their historical achievements since Fergie left. So when Van Gaal was in there, and Moyes, and of course Jose Mourinho, they were still getting the money. The old deals were still in place. And I think everybody, including the sponsors, had an expectation that Manchester United were going to bounce back. We're going to get to their previous levels. Now that's not the case. I think not only are the sponsors thinking that they're not as big and as mighty as they once were, certainly when football clubs, other football teams go to play them, we no longer have the fear factor. We don't fear playing Manchester United anymore. Bring them on. In fact, from what I've seen this season, Manchester United are not as good as Aston Villa. They're certainly not as good as Crystal Palace. And you know what? The league table would suggest that as well. They've got players that wouldn't get into a lot of top half teams. They've got some players who wouldn't get into a couple of the bottom three teams as well. That's how far the mighty have fallen, despite their money. So with that in mind, how are they going to fund these rumoured bids for Declan Rice? Well, of course, I'm not suggesting they have gone completely skint. They clearly do still have huge revenue streams. They still have a massive interest over in the foreign markets. But the trouble is with the foreign markets here is those fans have not attached themselves because they live near the Trafford Centre, or they come from Salford, or they take the bus in from Swinton into Manchester, or whatever. They've not grown up around those areas. They are fans because they bought into a brand. They're fans because it was convenient to do so. And as such, a fan that's never been to Old Trafford, a fan that is not supporting it because it's their local club or for the right reasons, I would suggest is possibly a fickle fan. And if that's the case, then a lot of their more fickle fans, a lot of their fans, what I might term people with a temporary interest in the club, they're conditional. The condition is, I will follow you, I'll follow your team, I will even purchase your shirt from afar, as long as you're winning, as long as you're entertaining. Well, they're not either. So with that in mind, why would Declan Rice go there? I don't think he would. Declan himself has even come out with a statement saying that he's recently signed a new contract. He's at West Ham until he's 24. He's happy here. He's getting regular first team football. Why would he want to go anywhere else? And he's learning. He's absolutely right, of course. I think the fact that he's saying, I'm here until I'm 24, well, clearly he is a man with ambition. We saw that with Ireland. He was willing to leave Ireland, who he'd already represented, and go with England because that was the ambitious thing to do. And he's been proved right as well because he's played, 6 consecutive matches. I think he started the last 4, quite possibly. Competitive matches as well. He's playing in qualifiers, and also he played in the tournament in the summer as well, of course, didn't he? So Declan Rice has done very well and made a wise. Why does I sound like Jonathan Wass then, didn't I? A very, very wise decision. And I think the fact that he's shown he's capable of doing that quite clearly. If Barcelona came in for Declan Rice, he'd probably say, "Look, guys, come on, let me go and let me and let me improve myself." And I would expect him to do exactly that, particularly if we are at the point a mid-table team. If we've progressed, we've spent more money, new owners, but whatever the case may be, we are a more ambitious club and a different club. Maybe it might change. Maybe that's. But anyway, I would expect that. But as it stands, I think he's very much saying, I'm not going to Manchester United, and right, because Manchester United would be a sideways move. I'm going to make snidey and say it would be a backward step. It wouldn't be a backward step. Clearly, they won't get relegated. Clearly, they'll pay good money, and clearly they will. If it doesn't work out with Solskjaer, which it won't, they'll get a new manager eventually. But he's slow and he's like a sloth. Edward Woodward he makes all the wrong decisions, and he makes them very, very slowly as well. It's not like he's shooting from the hip and being reactive and getting it wrong. Crikey, he's thought it through and still got it wrong. But anyway, I've got no particular dislike for Edward Woodward. I just know somebody that's sort of out of their depth when I see him, and that's certainly one of them there. So I can't see it myself, not with that club. And Declan is good. He's a wonderful player for us actually at the moment, but I don't see Barcelona coming in for him just yet, or Real Madrid, or any of the super clubs, be it Bayern Munich, coming in for him just yet. So I think we're all right where he is. The 2 domestic ones you'd worry about would be obviously Liverpool and would be Manchester City. Well, Manchester City seem all right in that department. Rodri, is that who brought in? Looks really good in the middle, doesn't he? And I think it's Fabinho. I always get them mixed, Fabinho and Firmino, but you know what I mean, the midfield one. He looks to have that position nailed down. And Liverpool are not really the club that seem to be, their ethos doesn't seem to be doubling up in every position like City. They seem to almost be relying on a first team and just the substitutes. They're not building this super squad of 25 registered players and 30 in total that can conquer all before them. That's not what Liverpool are doing. So I think the 2 main clubs, they're not coming in for Declan Rice. So I think we're safe, and I think he's with us for the time being, which is good news. Which brings me on to my next point, which is the stick he seems to get from England fans. And it's not just stick from England fans, it's a suggestion, it's an underlying apathy towards him, if you like. I was listening to the radio the other day, and there were 3 or 4 people on the radio, and they were all They were all asked about what their starting team should be for England, and none of them had Declan Rice in. None of them. Some thought Henderson should play back there. Some thought it should be Harry Winks, but not one of them suggested, out of the three, I think it was three presenters, I think not one of them suggested Declan Rice should be in there. The makeup of the team was relatively the same for the main. They wanted Sancho in and Sterling in, and this was before Maddison had been ruled out. Maddison had got sick. Wanted Maddison in there, but the one, like, they all consistently, and I just think they all consistently didn't want Declan Rice in. And I just think that there is a certain apathy towards him, and it's something that Gio sort of stumbled across in one of our videos, I thought, and it was that he's not a match of the day player. No, he's really not a match of the day player. I did a video into the Bournemouth game. Oh, it was good. It was good at Bournemouth. And I said in the review after the Bournemouth game, I said Declan Rice was amazing. Declan Rice was absolutely everywhere. And in one of the comments underneath it, someone was, I wouldn't say aggressive, but someone was quite feisty, let's say, saying, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Get yourself new glasses. Declan Rice wasn't man of the match. It was Yarmolenko. Everybody said so." Now, as someone that was there at the game, I thought, well, hold on, steady on, mate. You know, that's who I think was man of the match. Who you think is man of the match is your choice. But it does drive home something else that Gio said, which was, having watched the highlights back of the Crystal Palace game, he said Felipe Anderson in the hour-long highlights looked like Lionel Messi. And sometimes you do get a very different perspective when you're at the game. So perhaps this chap, actually, Declan Rice didn't really feature much. And Yarmolenko was very good. He was clearly, you know, a blinded player, a really, really good game against Bournemouth. I wasn't suggesting Yarmolenko was crap. I just can only pick one player for man of the match, and mine was Declan Rice. But my point is, Declan Rice does the things that you don't necessarily see on the telly. A lot of the stuff is off the ball. A lot of stuff is chasing back. I'm not saying he doesn't do things that people notice on the telly, but sometimes he's not a highlight reel player. I think that's what I'm trying to say. He's just not. And if you're looking for 5-minute highlights on Match of the Day, he's probably not your guy. He's probably not. There probably are montages that you can put together that better reflect other players. And I think a lot of that, he gets a hard deal from the England fans. And he gets a hard deal from the, what should we say, the general pundits. You know, the people on TalkSport and radio stations like that. It's impossible for these people that are on these radio stations to watch every single game for 90 minutes. It just is. So they're not seeing the grind and the drive and the endeavour and the quality that we see from Declan Rice. So it's easy. It's easy to be critical of him, because I also don't think that he displays for England everything that he displays for us. Because by and large, okay, England lost their last game, but by and large, England have the ball for far longer than West Ham do. England are attacked far less than West Ham are. So actually, it's quite a prestigious position at West Ham, sitting in front of back four. Because let's be fair, our back four can be very shaky. And because of the way we play, because of the way we are, because with West Ham, it's always been us. Teams will have a go. We're not scaring anyone. When West Ham rock up into town, the West Ham bus rolls up to the stadium. We're not scaring anyone. So, oh, it's West Ham. No. Teams will have a go. And rightly so. But because of that, the other team will have possession. The other team will have attacks. Which means Declan's job is very, very important. There'll be times of England where Declan won't really feature. Or when he does get the ball, England aren't under pressure. So actually, he's just got to pass it left and right, make simple passes. So do the England fans get to see the recovery tackles that he does, the fight, the endeavour, everything that he puts into a game? I just don't think they do. I just don't think you're getting anywhere near the player that we see at West Ham. And maybe there will be times, maybe we may have to wait until England are under the cosh, when England play a Spain or a Germany or a team like that, before we see the best of Declan Rice, when Declan Rice is charged with snuffing out the playmakers and world-class playmakers of other teams. That's what I think. Anyway, I think he gets a lot of stick. I think he's an easy target, and there are other players for England, let's be fair, that probably deserve a little bit more need. That being said, you look at Ross Barkley got tons and tons of stick. So Declan's not on his own. And I think Declan's probably finding out that he is under the microscope and he plays for England far more than he is at West Ham, and certainly far more than he ever was for Ireland. I hope he doesn't regret his decision. I don't think he would. He's a strong-minded individual. He's a tough man as well. He's a leader. He's going to have a really good career ahead of him. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Declan Rice. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd just like to say, regarding the comments below, clearly you can see I'm reading them all and I'm responding to them all. But it's YouTube works in quite a funny way, actually, because I don't get notifications if someone replies to my reply, if you know what I mean. So if you were to write down now, Gonzo, just watched your video on Declan Rice, I think he might one day move back to centre-back, and then I was to reply to you to say, I don't know if that's the case, I think he's cemented his place in central midfield, and then you replied again, I don't get a notification for it, so please don't think I'm rude if I don't reply straight. I only noticed that the other day because somebody messaged me and said you didn't reply to my other thing on the on a previous video. Yes, apologies. Clearly, I'll read them all, reply to as many as possible, and I thank you all for your interactions. I'm presuming anybody that's watching this video has subscribed to this channel. If you've not subscribed to this channel, then please do, underneath the screen, click the subscribe button. Right next to the subscribe button is a bell. If you click the bell, you get the notifications when we upload a video, and we're doing it more and more. Myself and Gio did a video a night or two ago. It's all blurred into one, to be fair. On the West Ham's potential to get into the top 6. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting video. We had a couple of disagreements on it, which is always healthy. So give that one a little watch if you would, please. I'll link it at the end of this video. If you don't want to go searching for it, I'll link it straight after this video, and you can go and click straight on it. That's if you've got nothing better to do with your Sunday. But sorry, I don't know what happened there. That's if you've got nothing better to do with your Sunday, is what I was saying. Goes very quiet on international break. Listen, I'll leave all the links below to everything. Clearly the GoFundMe page down below, which I discussed at the start of the video. And yeah, look, I'll catch up with you soon. I will hopefully be back with a video tomorrow. Struggling for subject. That was hard last week, by the way, to upload a video every day on different subjects. I've got one. I think there's one. I find myself trawling through a lot of the West Ham news, trying to look what's going on. But do you know what? Not done that bad, have I? I think I've bored your senses for 20 minutes on the subject of Declan Rice. When we get 20 minutes out of one subject, I'm sure I can chuck a 5-minute video together tomorrow. Thanks for watching. See you soon.